Well, hi everybody. Today we've been doing a whole heap of food reviews, and I've still got a couple more to go. I'll just show you one of the ones that's coming up. In this little box is the Korean fire noodles. So we're yet to do that one. That's probably going to be the most interesting of what we've got to get through. But we've done the Snickers and the Mars and heaps of chocolate and heaps of potato chips.
Got a sugar rush.
A real sugar rush. Yeah, so we've done all that, and now we've just got those Korean fire noodles. And we're also going to do a Gatorade versus Powerade. So that'll be...
So we can come back down from the Kung Pao.
Yeah, so hopefully that will all balance each other out somehow or other. But anyway, what we're here at the moment, having a break from all that, and we're going to talk a little about what Luke does for work, because I thought some of you guys might be interested to hear about TV here in Australia and other areas of work in the TV industry. So, Luke, how did you get started in TV?
I've always been interested in the area of TV and films, and lots of people are. I guess it's a massive part of the way that we relax is watching TV in our culture these days. But I remember growing up and watching movies and being fascinated, and even watching some documentaries. And I think it was on Superman the movie. I saw a documentary, and there was a mention of it's all shot with one camera, which is not entirely true, but essentially that movie shot with one camera. And I remember then going through the concept of, okay, well, if it was shot with one camera, how do you put a movie together? And then, understanding the concept of editing, and okay, they'd have to move the camera, they'd have to relight. Even as a young kid, I kind of started to get the idea that that's how a movie was put together. And then also understanding, okay, well, in TV, there's multiple cameras and they're shooting at the same time, and there's a director that switches between the cameras. So my interest was already there, so I started to pursue that.
Right.
And so through my school days, I did quite a few projects on video. I did media studies and did quite an elaborate film for media studies, which then led to me getting into a course that I wanted to do, which was, it was really about making corporate videos, but it had all of the basics of television as part of the training. So we learned how to light, how to do audio, how to shoot, edit, everything, direct, multi-camera situations. So we learnt all the technical aspects of television.
Right.
During that course, and I was also fortunate enough during that course that there was a new show that had just started on Channel 9 called Don't Forget Your Toothbrush.
Okay. Which Tim Ferguson?
Tim Ferguson was the host.
Yep.
And it was a concept that they brought over. I can't remember which country. It might have been a Danish show. But anyway, one of the European countries had done it previously, and we got the concept. And it's a very big show, needed lots of crew, and they needed an extra camera assistant on the show.
Okay.
So my teacher happened to know the head cameraman at Channel 9, and I happened to be in editing one day, and basically got the call. We need someone, and he came in and said, "Luke, do you want to go and work on this show?" And I said, "Yep." And 15 minutes later, I was in the studio working, and I didn't look back. Basically straight from that into Hey Hey It's Saturday, which is an Australian show that ran for I think nearly 30 years, and then into shows like Price is Right.
So what's on those initial TV programs? What were you actually doing?
So I was assisting the camera operators. That would be from helping them change lenses, helping them with tripods, helping them with we have some people call it a hi-hat, but it's also called a low mount. So it's basically the tripod head put on a very low, basically bit of wood, really.
Right.
So the camera can get really low. So I would help the camera operator put those things in place. I would also help because all it was all multi-camera, so every camera those days had a cable.
Right.
So I would have like a big loom of cable in my hand, and I'd be running after the cameraman, throwing it out, and then pulling it back in as we walk back and forwards, and and part of that was in that environment, learning about how a studio works,
right?
How how a day functions within the life of a studio, where we have rehearsals, we have lighting checks. You have an audience that gets loaded into the studio. You have makeup and wardrobe that all have to be factored in. And if there's special requirements, maybe explosions or whatever, all the safety that has to happen with those things. So you're basically learning, how does a studio work? How does staging? You've got to move sets in and out. So all of those things that make a studio function. While you're a camera assistant, you get the opportunity to sit and watch and learn. And it helps you become a better camera operator, because part of being a multicam camera operator, where there's multiple cameras all being switched on the one show at the one time, is that you have to work together. There isn't time. I think a lot of people have the perception that a director sits there and goes, okay, camera one, zoom in, a bit tighter, lose that. There's just not time for that in a show. When someone says, oh, hey, Russell, what do you think? Bang, the shot's got to be there, and the director takes it. Yes. So you haven't got time to be working out what your frame is. You have to know exactly what the director already wants,
right?
And you've got to be listening, so that you hear the host say, hey, Russell, for example, you've got to get the shot there ready, so that the director can take it straight away.
Okay, and so there's a bit of anticipation going on all the time as what's coming up?
Yeah, I've had a director once say to me, the cameraman should always be able to be one step ahead of me.
Okay.
And it's not always the case. Sometimes, because the director has multiple angles, they can see multiple monitors, and often they can see one monitor that might be a wider shot. That wider shot will often give them information that you can't get when you're facing in one direction with a camera.
Yes.
You don't get that the person behind you is about to speak.
Yeah.
But in a wide shot, you might see that. So sometimes a director has a little more information.
Right.
And I only know that from myself doing more and more directing these days. And even,
okay, so let's move on from those early days of even The Price is Right.
Yes.
And what other shows were you on back in those very early days?
Lots and lots of shows. Some came and went.
You were the cameraman for Peter Hitchener.
Yes, did lots of news, and even Brian Naylor. Brian told me so. So I actually did the last news service that he ever did.
Ah, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I was behind the camera as he said good night for the last time.
Ah, okay.
So they were the early days. Lots of news, lots of
game shows and news.
Yes, even simple things like Lotto. We did.
And
we had
go on.
So it was Keno, yeah.
Yeah,
so
Keno.
So we would do that every night. I wouldn't necessarily do it every night, but part of our roster was that was one of the shifts we had to do.
And you had a kids program.
Pig's Breakfast.
Yeah, Pig's Breakfast.
So that was more of a single camera type of show.
Right.
So it was probably a kids drama, we would call it.
Yep.
And I assisted on that one. So I was pulling focus, changing tapes over, changing batteries, setting up tripods again, and also doing the clapper. So I was quite busy on that show.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, assisting basically. It was a very small crew. And so I was kind of the grip department and the camera assist department, including focus, clapper. So they'd start rolling, I'd do the clapper or the slate. I'd go out, identify the shot, and then do the clap for audio and vision to be in sync.
Yep.
And then I'd jump over to the camera and I'd do focus.
Oh.
And
sounds busy.
Yeah, it was a busy show, but it was good. I enjoyed running around and keeping busy. And then next setup, what are we doing? We on sticks? We had a little dolly, and so I have to run around and get all that happening. So
wow. Okay, so that was all in the early days.
Yes, that was all within
Then-
the first 5 years of working in TV.
Okay, so then you moved on to...
After that, I worked. I got out of Channel 9, and not for any other reason than at the time we lost a whole bunch of shows, and I just felt like it was an opportunity for me to maybe do some more single camera, learn a bit of editing, do a bit of producing, so that I would actually, have to deal with talent a bit more.
Right.
We did have opportunities at Channel 9 to deal with talent and go and shoot things, but not a lot.
Right.
So I wanted to be able to just develop a bit more. So I spent a bit of time doing that. During that, I also got involved in some amateur theatre.
Okay.
At first, it was just shooting theatre shows that were happening in a multi-camera shoot.
That's Mudbrick Performing Arts?
Yes, Mudbrick Performing Arts.
Yep.
And then after that, I got more and more involved, so to the point where I was, I really started, I became a director's assistant because I'd seen a floor manager work, I'd seen an assistant director or AD work, so I understood those roles, maybe not completely, but I was able to then assist the director,
Right.
and that also gave me the opportunity to do a little bit of directing.
Right.
And then I went on to then direct lots of those theatre shows, including, doing rewrites of the script, designing sets, helping out with lighting,
Right.
understanding all the audio constraints of a live theatre show, because you've got people with microphones, they're mic'd all the time, so you've got to have a really rigid structure for when people come on, people come off, the timing of when that happens. It's all really important. So I got a really broad understanding of all the television elements,
Right.
even though my schooling days I'd learnt the basics.
Yep.
I got to learn a lot more of those things.
Okay, so, and then back into TV with, but going overseas and doing stuff.
So, yeah, I came back into the television world doing freelance work and did camera over many years. Dancing with the Stars is a show I've done a lot of work on. There's a show called Deal or No Deal that I worked on a lot. The New Family Feud is something I work on. But then that's also given me the opportunity to do a little bit of travel. So I went to London to do the Olympics.
Right.
I have also shot sport over the years, so cricket was part of my initial training.
Cricket's a bit like baseball.
A bit like baseball. Horse racing, which I find incredibly dull, but you've still got to shoot it. So horse racing, what else? Footy.
Yeah. So you went and did the London...
And then London Olympics.
Yeah.
So shot the diving over there. So yeah, one of, I was camera 20, so there was at least 20 cameras.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't remember exactly how many cameras there were, but that's a lot of cameras on diving.
Yeah.
But at the same time makes the coverage interesting. Yeah. So there's a shot right above the divers.
Okay.
And it was a remote camera on a track, so I was able to track the camera kind of out over the diving board.
As they walked out.
As they walked out, yeah. And I got some... I was lucky enough to get a few really nice shots. There was one there was a logo in the pool. Okay. So I'd start on the logo and I'd track back, and there was this one time in the final, so we're the last few divers.
Right.
And so started there, and just as he put his hands up, I came over the top of him to reveal him standing there like that. And I was like, kind of those moments where you have chills. Yeah. And it worked really well. Yeah. So I was just lucky everything fell.
Now, how come you ended up in London? Because haven't they got enough cameramen in England to cover it? What was going on?
Well, there's a couple of reasons why. They probably don't have enough cameramen.
Yeah, okay.
And I did a gig in Abu Dhabi a few years later, and it was hilarious because I ran into a guy who had the same backpack that we were given. So he'd been working on the Olympics. Right. So so obviously they pulled people from all over the world to come in and cover it. So anyway, there's a person I've got to know doing the tennis. It's another one I've done for years. His name's Greg Clark, and he organises the swimming or the water events for the Olympics. So his company is he's had to get the job. So he basically has to put together a crew that will cover the swimming, diving, water polo, synchronised swimming, maybe sink diving. I'm not sure if there's any other events. I think that's it. So he puts together a team of however many people. I'm not sure what the number is, but it's a large number.
Yeah.
And he usually gets people from New Zealand and Australia that he's worked with.
Okay.
And I was fortunate enough to get on his radar and to get on the list. Okay,
so you've done international sport, and you've even done some surfing series.
Yeah, done quite a bit of surfing. I've done a little bit of travel. Well, I've done a lot of travel in Australia. So I've done Gold Coast events, Bells Beach, Western Australia, Margaret River.
Yeah.
So done all those events a few times. Also got to travel to Bali.
Right.
And over there. And also did Santa Cruz. I'm trying to think if I've done that.
Now, on some of those, you're not actually behind the camera anymore. You're directing.
Directing, yeah. Okay. So, I had the opportunity to direct that for a while.
Right.
There's a lot of politics in surfing.
Right.
So, and there's kind of more than you think there would be, because we're supposed to be just chilled out.
Yeah.
Chilled out guys doing surfing.
Dudes on their boards.
So yeah, those opportunities aren't always there.
Right.
Again, there's politics. So, but I've always had really good feedback on what I've done with the surfing. So
you've done the Tour Down Under and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of cycling. Tour Down Under, which is kind of Australia's Tour de France, but it doesn't have the same scope or scale as that race, but we certainly get a lot of good riders that come to Adelaide, and so lots of cameras up to, I think I worked it out the other day, it's over 20 cameras anyway on the
So you'd be
final leg.
You'd be syncing helicopters and motorbikes and still cameras.
Yeah, so you've got at least one chopper, you've got 3 motorbikes that are all linked. You've got an RF camera that's linked. So it's not a cabled camera, it's got a battery, and it links wirelessly. Okay. And then lots of cabled cameras around tracks. Some of the legs, it's just maybe 3 cameras at the end of the race.
Right.
And then you'd have a couple of host cameras.
Right.
So even on a smaller one, you've still got, at least 6 cameras at the finish line, maybe what they call a cue ball, which is like a little remote camera.
Right.
So 6 or 7 cameras at a simple stage, and then you've got the helicopter and motos. So that's 11 cameras for a simple stage.
So when you're in like the intense part of a race,
yes,
and you've got multiple screens.
Yeah, and you've got producers yelling and...
Yeah, what's going on?
It can be very busy, particularly at the end of a race. Everyone gets very excited.
Yep.
And I don't tend to be someone that raises my voice. I do get a little excited at the start of a show when you first roll the opener and you've got quite a few things to get out of the way. So out of an opener, you usually come through to like a wide shot of the area, which you've either recorded earlier, so it usually would come off tape. Right. But it would be a helicopter shot of
so that's a preset introduction type thing.
Yeah, and it would be something that you record earlier in the day. So when the helicopters go up and do their tests, you'll make sure that we record digitally. So it's a device called EVS. So you make sure that that's recording.
Right.
And I mean, we have super slow-mo cameras and like 4 EVSs as well. So there are 4 different machines that we can play stuff off.
Yeah.
And so usually, and they're recording lots of the inputs.
Yeah.
They usually can't record everything, but we kind of go through and choose which inputs are the important ones at different times, and they can reselect them. But so we come out of an opener. You'd have you've rolled the opener, then you've got cue the commentators. You've got to roll the helicopter shot. You've got to get music up.
Right.
I don't have to do that, but it's part of what I have to prepare and let audio know that this is going to happen.
Yes.
So music up, cue commentators, roll through to B. We often call the EVS machines letters or colours, or they have different names. And then you get up a super as well. So you'd cue super to come up, which would identify the location, might identify weather, then might identify commentators, and you go through a shot with the commentators.
Okay, and all this time you're switching stuff?
I do a lot of my own switching, but not for that particular event.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I have someone else that does that for me.
Okay.
I've also done volleyball with a switcher as well, so I have someone else switching for that.
Okay.
And also I've been doing more recently some concerts. But I tend to switch those myself, and I do lots of corporate videos as well where I'm switching.
Okay.
So that's for
switching between cameras.
Yeah, so I'm actually pushing the buttons and dissolving. So that's for companies like Coles, which is a big supermarket chain over here.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then right now, and in the immediate future, what's happening?
So doing Family Feuds, which is kind of the main show that I sit on at the moment. Had some corporates.
Is that a one, like how many episodes would you
record 5 shows in a day.
Right.
They're actually on 6 days a week. So we kind of do 2 records every 2 weeks, plus every now and then a 3rd record to kind of make up for that 6th show.
Okay.
Plus we've also had specials on, which have been an hour special. So usually a Family Feud.
Right.
So that'll be on a Monday night. They've had an extra hour show.
Oh, that's like celebrity ones?
Yeah, so celebrity versions, and the money's all given to charity.
Okay.
But that's meant that we've had extra records as well.
Okay.
To get those done.
Okay, and then you're off to the Olympics again?
Rio Olympics, yes, in August.
Okay, do you have any idea what you'll be doing?
My understanding is I'm doing diving. So.
Okay. Oh, they must have been happy.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope I get the same camera again because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But whatever I'm given, I'll be happy to do.
Okay. What about interesting people that you've met over that time? Anybody, a couple of people stand out? What?
That's an interesting
Any
question.
Situations stand out? Like you mentioned the Brian Naylor one.
Yeah.
Other stuff or other people?
Oh, it's a hard one because...
What was Red Simons like?
Red Simons is actually a lovely guy. He's actually someone that would often come, and cameramen often congregate and talk, and he'd come in and chat with us and have a bit of a laugh and throw in his 2 cents.
Yep.
Reddy's very much what you see is what you get.
Yep.
But he always says hello, and he's a good guy.
Yes. Yeah. Anybody else? Sort of.
Look, everyone is really professional.
Yeah.
I haven't really met many people that are difficult to work with.
Right.
A lot of people have said Daryl Summers is hard to work with, but I haven't found that. I actually find him. He can grate on people, I think, because he's kind of the consummate perfectionist, and a perfectionist.
Right.
And also, my understanding is, I haven't seen this of him, but I think people say that he actually struggles a little bit, like he's a little bit insecure, so he tends to want to make sure everything is ordered, so that he can feel comfortable, and I can understand that.
Yeah.
So, but things like, these days there's not many talent, or we call them talent, but presenters or hosts that would be able to walk into a certain part of the set and go, hang on a minute, I'm not in light.
Right.
Whereas he instantly knows, hang on, where he can look at the lights and go, all right, where I should be standing here.
I know where the right spot is.
Yeah, and then he will usher, if he's talking to someone, he'll usher them into the right spot.
Okay.
And he's worked in the industry so long, he's got all of that feel just by feeling the lights on him. And, some people get annoyed by that. They go, "Oh, don't tell us how to do our job." But the reality is, he knows what he's talking about, and I think sometimes people just need to go, "Hey, he's right."
Now, being on Hey Hey
Yes.
at Saturday, you would have met a lot of, well, maybe not met, but you would have seen
Yeah,
a lot of
certainly
international
involved.
people.
Yeah, a
Tom
few.
Jones,
Yeah, I've seen Tom Jones, who I think has the most amazing voice.
right?
I've had the good fortune of standing about a metre away from Stevie Wonder as he sang Superstitious.
Okay.
Um,
were you there when Tom Jones and John Farnham sang together? Were you there that
I
night?
don't remember that. No, I
No.
can't remember.
Yep.
There's so many.
But you would have been on with John Farnham as well.
Oh yeah, I've seen John Farnham many times
Yeah.
and done lots of his concerts.
Yeah.
Sting was another one
Okay.
that I kind of just sat there going, "That's Sting. It's just there."
Right.
You know, and
Amazing.
and there's a few other ones like the Calls when they came in. They were
Okay.
brand new. That you know
Yeah,
they
right.
hadn't brought out any albums or not that we had in Australia.
Yep.
And so they did their first number, and then afterwards they're coming over and going, "Oh, what do you think?" And you know, and and I was this 19-year-old going,
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
um,
Now, another thing that I remember anyway seeing was when you turned 21. You were on the
Yes, I was
The Price is Right.
doing Price is Right, and Larry Emder and all the Price is Right girls came and surrounded me, and they shot a little video for me.
Yeah. I've got that video
Oh,
somewhere.
you've got it. I'll see if
Well,
you
I
can do
think-
something.
well,
Yeah, you will have.
You might have. I don't know. It's somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, actually, anyway, someone's got it.
Yeah.
So I did a little celebration for me turning 21.
Yeah, that's great.
So there's some of the fun things that happen when
Yeah.
you're working in TV.
Anything else? I think that's probably a wrap.
Yeah, look, I mean, you do get to hang. Like I just did the Logies, so I should have mentioned
Right.
that. So it's funny when you go back, you haven't seen anyone since last year's in a lot of cases.
Right.
So I saw Julia Morris is someone I met on IMT, and we used to go back to her house, and she'd make little snacks and platters, and have you had enough red wine? And so she'd fuss over us. We were kind of her little boys, so it was funny to see her. Gave her a big hug and said hello, and
okay.
and there's lots of other people that you kind of hello, how you going? It's kind of weird,
Oh,
but
cool.
a bit of a family reunion, seeing everyone.
Yeah. Oh, fascinating stuff. Well, Luke, thank you very much for
No worries.
giving us a bit of an insight into what goes on behind the scenes in TV here in Australia. Luke's also made the movie Ellendel's Secret, which you saw me doing a little bit of that acting in. So he was the instigator and the creator, the writer, the director, and everything behind all of that. So I'll put that link down in the description again if you want to check that out. But anyway,
It's a good fun movie. It may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I think it's a bit of a fun ride if you can get into the story. It is a complicated story,
yep.
but I think if you can get into it, give it about 20 minutes. I think if you give the movie 20 minutes, you'll be in for the whole ride.
Yes.
And it certainly does build quickly. So
Yeah.
once it gets into it, it's kind of bang, bang, bang. You're into the story. So
Yep.
I hope people like it, enjoy it, and check it out.
Yep. I've heard very good reports. Okay, guys, we're probably gone half an hour, so I think that's enough for now. Hope you enjoyed hearing all that, and we'll see what else we can come up with to talk about. See you again very soon. Bye.